Okay.
Okay. So I I was interested in actually going over the chapters Isaiah 65 and 66 because I went over them with my son Johnny about well about 2 or 3 days ago, and we discovered so much that well, he discovered and I revisited so much of what it is that shows that there is need of a restoration, and what what the millennial kingdom will look like. It's all it's not given in great detail, but it's given in large overview here in 65 and 66. Um, and so we're going to go into these. We're going to go into these chapters because I think they're really important for people who are preparing for their Lord, preparing for the kingdom. If you're kingdom minded, you love these chapters, and they will cause you to get out of whatever false religion that you are in.
That is if you take them seriously, right?
Yes, if you take them seriously. If you truly believe in the words of Yahweh and his prophets, you will get out of whatever false religious belief you're in. And you will break down those you'll break off those shackles, and you will seek for true teachers who will teach you in his ways, the ways to profit. Torah.
Right. And they'll base their teachings off the scriptures and not their supposed visions from their God and their image. So
Right. So without further ado, let's get into chapter 65 here.
All right.
Okay. Zach, do you want to read verse 1?
I am sought of them that ask me that ask not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. I said, behold me unto a nation that was not called by my name.
Okay, so this is referring to the taking of the gospel to the Gentiles. I
yes.
am sought of them. I have sought of them that asked not for me. I am found of them that sought me not. So it's interesting that these two ideas are separated by a semicolon, which makes them separate but related. So I am sought of them that asked not for me. That would be uh, that would be one set of people. I am found of them that sought me not. So that he sought, but he's found by those who didn't seek.
Now, one thing, in just knowing history and some prophecy, I can see this applying on two things. Ben knowing more what's coming up, so he'll probably have to chime in which one it is. But after the 70th week from Daniel 9 was over, that's when the apostles started going to the Gentiles,
Yes.
right? And then there's also another point that it could be referring to, which is possibly more likely, just reading the heading, but Ben has a better overview, would be how the Gentiles will seek Zion because they don't want what's going on everywhere.
Right. They will seek Zion because they're not seeking Yahweh. They're seeking peace. And they find
Yeah,
and they find Yahweh in Zion.
Hence, I
that's a
am
better way of
found
saying
of
it.
them that sought me not.
Mm-hmm. So he says, I said, behold me unto a nation that was not called by my name. That nation is the Gentiles.
Yeah.
That is the nation that is not called by his name. The nation that is called by his name is Yisrael. This is why the chapter headings are not terribly. Sorry, they are terrible. The chapter headings are terrible. Because McConkie here relates the whole thing back to ancient Israel. But this is actually talking about both Israel. This chapter is actually talking about both Israel and the Gentiles' rejection of the Messiah prior to the second coming.
Yeah, I will say real quick on that point, McConkie did not know as much as he thought he did. So
Yeah.
McConkie went off of Brighamite, LDS, oral law instead of the actual scriptures.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So that's what we have. So what we have here is this is being set up here in verse 1 that both Israel and the Gentiles, that's why you have the two juxtaposing, I am sought of them that ask not for me, I am found of them who sought me not. The two juxtaposing things, Israel and the Gentiles.
And so I think with the additional context that Ben knows, I would say it's the Gentiles seeking peace, going to Zion, and then they find Yeshua because of that.
Yeah.
What's wrong, John?
And it's Israel, and it's Israel
Okay.
who won't ask for him.
Yeah, in fact, just a little side point on that, they go spy on Zion, and they don't. They get jealous, but they don't like change any of their wicked ways. Which
Right.
I will say, this spying goes to the prophecy with Joseph of Egypt when he became head of everything. How he said his brothers were spying. So, anyways, that's just a little interesting little tidbit of prophecy in Genesis.
And so verse 2, Josh.
Let's see. I have spread out my hands all the day unto a rebellious people, which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts.
So this he's talking about Israel. The clue there is the
Specifically, I was
past.
going to say that's specifically Israel.
The clue there is in the past tense was.
Yeah.
Yeah, was because then they changed, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Which walketh in a way that was not good after their own thoughts. He spread out his hands all the day to the Israelites, but they chose to walk in their oral Torah.
Okay. All right.
Well, I could see that.
But it also applies to the Gentiles.
Yeah. I
past
can
tense-
see how it could apply to both groups. Jews
Yeah,
and
because
Gentiles.
because the Gentiles chose to walk after the traditions of the early Christian fathers.
Right. So let me
Torah.
interject something, and I'm sure you'll agree, but let's go look what it says about the Gentiles and false traditions.
Yes.
That's not okay. So let me pause for a minute because that's not the one I was thinking of. So hold on.
All right.
Okay. So I found the one. I just had to go another page. Anyways, here's the one that I was primarily thinking of is Jeremiah, but it's also in First Nephi 13. But Jeremiah 16:19, O Yahweh, my strength and my fortress and my refuge in the day of affliction, the Gentiles shall come unto thee from the ends of the earth. That sounds like they're going to Zion, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
And shall say, Surely our fathers have inherited lies, vanity, and things wherein there is no profit, which we talked about in another scripture study about profit pointing to Torah. I'll put a link to that in the.
Yep.
Yes. I was going to say we've talked about this already in another scripture study. So
Yeah. So, and I'll put a link to that.
The way of profit is Torah.
Yes, correct. So which goes along
Which,
with,
by the way of the prophets is Torah. I'll add that as well.
yeah, and this goes along how the mighty and strong one will be restoring Torah. So
Yes, because
and I'll let Ben decide if we read more or go back to
yeah.
scripture.
Let's do it's only one more verse, so let's go ahead.
Oh, okay, all right, I'll read it. So it's First Nephi LDS 13:32. Neither will Yahweh Elohim suffer that the Gentiles shall forever remain in that awful state of blindness. So that awful state of blindness is about their inheriting lies, which thou beholdest which they are in, behold, the plain and most precious parts of the gospel of the Lamb, Yeshua, have been kept back from amongst by the abominable church that modified the scriptures. They took stuff out and took books out, so on and
And
so
that
forth.
and that so that abominable church that would reference, I mean, basically Christianity, right?
Yes.
I think mostly, but in the Jews.
It would also reference rabbinical Judaism as well.
Yeah, because Jews took books out of the Bible too, which is one thing a lot of people don't know, but I go over that in my Why We Need the JST post. And
Okay.
I give references how they took books out of the Old Testament. So,
Okay. All right.
anyways, whose formation thou hast seen. So, um, I think the history here more points to after Yeshua's death and resurrection, but the abominable church has been around for a very long time.
But what Nephi's pointing out here is Nephi's a great connector verse, connecting the Gentiles back into that in Isaiah 65, verse 2. And
Yes.
so that's a great connector verse on that. But
All right, so let me go back there
perspective.
then. Here we go.
So, which walketh in a way that is not good, after their own thoughts. And you can clearly see that there we're talking about both rabbinical Judaism and Christianity.
Yeah, because
Because
they
both seek after their own thoughts. They're not really interested in what the scriptures have to say, especially if the scriptures happen to contradict their theology.
Their way.
Yeah, their theology. Because technically their way is without a way. So I just call it theology.
Well, it's the way that was not good, as the scripture says.
It's a way that's not a way, and therefore not good. It absolutely can't be good.
Well, one area, just before we move on, one area where the rabbinical Judaism kind of definitely goes against the word is with the wearing of tzitzits. And that is basically they allow for the members of their religion to hide it, wherein it is, according to the word, it is supposed to be seen for the individual to see it, to remind them of the covenant that they are supposed to be walking in.
right. And in addition, in another way that they, in addition to hiding it, they give excuses for not doing blue, as stated also.
Yeah.
They also give excuses and try to use the Julian calendar to justify their false Sabbath.
Yeah. So let me say one more on the Tzitzits. They also knot it instead of braid it, as the scriptures thought.
Right.
Right.
It's supposed to be braided. Yeah.
Yes, they turn it into a very naughty situation. Oh, sorry. Sorry. But the pun was very much intended.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Thanks for that.
All right. So verse 3, Stephen.
Yes. Okay. A people that provoketh me to anger continually to my face. Well, that definitely sounds like Jews and Gentiles, anyways.
Yep.
That sacrificeth in gardens. That more to me sounds like Gentiles.
Yep.
And burneth incense unto the altars of
Upon altars of brick.
that could be some of both, but the sacrificing in gardens to me, my
That's
understanding
Gentiles.
That is Gentiles.
primarily just Gentiles, right?
Yeah.
Grove.
But again, he's referring to both groups.
Mhm.
Yeah, ultimately, yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah, and so basically he's referring to all of these people as the other group, the group that is not his people. It is a people.
Oh, right. Right there. Yes. That which would also point to Gentiles more, right?
Yes. And but also to Israel, when they reject his covenant, they're no longer his people.
Correct.
When you reject, when you enter into covenant with Yahweh and renege on it, you are no longer his people.
Yeah, in fact, you're worse off than if you
Yeah. Yeah.
So, okay, so I'll read verse 4.
Okay.
Which remain among the graves and lodge in the monuments, which eat swine's flesh, and broth of abominable things is in their vessels.
Oh,
Does this not describe our society today?
Absolutely.
Christianity today, the grave soaking, the building of monuments.
well, right. So one thing, I can see how the graves goes with grave soaking, but I would wonder if more it's going along how when you sin you die,
Yeah.
and they're
Yeah.
staying there.
Yes. And I actually agree with that on this. That's an excellent symbolic reading of that. And on a very literal level, you can see it in the practice of grave soaking, and also among other practices that people have wherein the dead are venerated entirely too much because the dead know nothing at all. Why do you want to venerate that?
Right. And then I would say lodge with the monuments. They have their idols and their
But here's the big thing that connects that makes this about the Gentiles.
yeah.
Eat swine's flesh.
Yeah. So one thing the Jews, although the Jews have problems interpreting kosher biblical law, one thing
Right.
they don't do is eat swine's flesh, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And broth of abominable things. I don't know how many abominable things before I was awakened to Torah. I don't know how many abominable things I ate, or how many soups that I ate that were made of abominable things.
Oh, so the broth would be soup. So I will say, before I got kosher, the one soup I really liked before I became kosher was clam chowder.
Oh yeah.
Um,
That's an
I don't eat
abominable
it
thing.
anymore, but
Yeah, that's a broth of an abominable thing.
Right. So this for those who say that kosher law isn't important to God, this is part of the reason why why you're not his people. You are a people.
Yeah.
You're just a people. If you don't listen to his laws, if you do not walk in his ways, you are not his people.
Yeah.
Now, does that mean that you are not necessarily saved? No, because there will be there are varying degrees of glory in
yes.
the kingdom of heaven. But you will
Correct.
not be
Yes.
his people.
Yeah, and because of so salvation is a free gift, period. But we are rewarded for our works.
Yeah. Yeah, the works are, the interesting thing is we're the idea of saved by faith. But yet James states that faith, if it hath not works, is dead. Our faith is shown in our works.
Yes.
Right. It is.
Without works, we don't have faith, as James is saying.
Hello. Yeah.
Yeah, that's really literally what he's saying. He's not saying that it's works that save us. And so it's not actually even a contradiction with these ideas that are brought up in the letters of Paul that we're saved by grace. What he's saying is that our faith is shown in our works.
Right.
And those works that show our faith is the works of Torah. It's not giving millions of dollars to your local charity.
Well, okay, so it's not necessarily that.
Right.
Because there's a couple issues there. Part of because charity means keeping commandments, right?
Right.
Yes,
One of the
yes,
commandments is tithing, which is taking care of the poor.
correct.
But at the same time, if you're not keeping the other commandments, just taking care of the poor is okay.
He's all he's doing.
But in addition, I do want to add a lot of these charities don't give much to the poor. So
No,
anyway,
they don't. No, they
So
don't.
if you're going to give to the poor, if you're going to give to the poor, give to the poor.
right.
Right.
In fact, in one of Yeshua's parables in the New Testament, he didn't say that what you did, what you had others do for the poor, you did unto me. He says what you did to the poor.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Right. You did unto me. Right. Yeah, exactly. What you did. What you did.
Yeah.
So Zach, verse 5.
Oh, we need to scroll up a little bit.
Okay.
Which say, Stand by thyself, come not near to me, for I am holier than thou. These are a smoke in my nose, a fire that burneth all the day.
And this is actually really a tendency among those who believe that they have the truth when they don't have the truth. They
Right.
say, "You stand over there. I'm better than you. Don't come near me."
Right. Holier than thou. I know better than you. You're an idiot. I just have this special gift.
So now to be fair, I can be accused of calling people idiots. Now, most of the time when I say that about somebody, it's because they've proven it amply.
Well, right. You did just say that from the very beginning. You tried to work with them and tried to explain it, where this is describing people who are saying, oh, I just know better. You should believe me, and never really try to explain it, other than you should just trust me.
Right. And because you don't, you're going to hell.
Right. So I do see what you're saying, but I think there's a difference that's going on here. Because you and I, and those in this group, we do try to help others understand. They just reject it, where these people that speak ill of us don't try to really explain it at all. They just say, well, I had this dream or vision that it doesn't matter that it contradicts the scriptures. It's from God. Well, I'm like, yes, it's from God. Which God?
Yeah, that's the
It
question.
came from a
That's the
God,
question
I
that
can
these
tell you
people.
that
That's
right
the question
now,
that these
yeah.
people never ask themselves. That's the question that a lot of people don't ask themselves about their spiritual experiences, because Satan can fool you. Satan can appear even as an angel of light.
Well, and then there's the other part, right? The human part. We deceive ourselves quite often.
Well, the interesting thing is that that each one of us is co-eternal with God. And so we can often confuse ourselves into believing our own thoughts are God's thoughts.
Correct. And that's what I was getting at. Yes. Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be careful. This is why it's so important to check what we receive or generate, as the case may be. More often than not, we've generated it. We have to check that against the word, for the word is the revelation of the mind and will of Yeshua. And if what we have received or generated goes against the mind and will of Yeshua, well, it's probably best that we leave it in a dustbin somewhere.
Yes.
So it's verse 6, Josh.
All right.
Can we pause just 1 second, if that's okay?
Yep.
Question. Okay, so I did have a little question, and we chatted for a little bit beforehand, but I have a little issue with this one right here, because the imagery feels a little off to me, But with talking with Ben and Josh, they were explaining some more of the physical aspects, which makes sense. So I do think we should talk about it. So I'll let them kind of bring out what they mentioned. Okay.
Okay, so what we have here, well, I mean, first I'll let Josh talk first so that he can, well,
No,
okay, I actually am grateful that Stephen had the question
right.
because I actually did need to talk about and address this phrase. These are a smoke in my nose and a fire that burneth all the day long. So with that in mind, I'm going to let Josh lead off on talking about the physical effects of smoke and and fire.
So, I have very personal experience with the way fire and smoke work and how they affect human beings physiologically. Was in the Navy for 23 and a half years on ships as part of a flying squad for a few of those years. And the flying squad's job was to respond to fires that break out on ships. And on a ship, it's a very, very serious thing when a fire breaks out. Because if you don't put that fire out, you're going to lose the ship. And a lot of people are going to die that don't need to die. So I will say we had our protective equipment and everything like that, but there were some instances where there were people that were stuck in spaces that were affected by the smoke. And smoke is an irritant, and it makes it hard to breathe. And the reason that is because the smoke itself contains almost microscopic particles of whatever is being consumed by the fire. So first you have the heat from the fire, then you have the smoke, which contains the very small particles of what is being consumed by the fire that get into your lungs and make it so that you can possibly suffocate due to lack of oxygen, because fire also takes oxygen out of the surrounding space. So that is just a little bit about smoke and fire and how they affect the human body physiologically.
Okay, so with that being said, this is what he's saying. You are an irritant. You pain me. Fire hurts. It burns. You pain me. You are an irritant.
No.
So those people who are in this group of people which remain among the graves, remain in their sins, lodge in the monuments, they place their faith in edifices, they eat swine's flesh. If this describes any of your practices, you're a pain and an irritant to God. If you believe yourself to be in a better place because of your belief, not by your because of your belief alone. If you hold yourself above others, you are an irritant and a pain to your God, to the person who you say is your God. Now, to the person who actually is your God, he gets a kick out of that. But the person who you say is your God, you are an irritant and you give him pain. And you
have hurt him. You have literally caused him pain.
Yep, that makes sense. I understood. And the fire that burneth all day could be like the fire on his ship that Josh was talking about, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. All day fire is hell.
Yes, it is.
So let's go. With that said, these are a smoke in my nose and a fire that burneth all the day. This is not a compliment.
No, this is
And I encourage anybody to look into their own lives and see if the practices which are mentioned above are a part of your life and are part of your religion. If they're a part of your religion, get out.
Well, even if it's not part of it, but they say it's okay, right?
Even if they say, yeah, even if they say it's okay and give permission for it, get out. You are a pain to God.
So
And if
I'm gonna just sidetrack a little bit. It goes with this Psalms 5:5. I think Ben will be fine with this sidetrack.
yes,
He's leading today because he knows what that
Good
is.
sidetrack.
Yep.
Good sidetrack. Yes.
But since I brought it up, I'll read it.
yes,
The foolish shall not stand. The foolish are the sinners. Okay, and it comes out even more in a little bit. Shall not stand in thy Yahweh's sight, as in they can't see his face. Imagine how all this imagery fits together, right? When you think of a Hebrew thought and not Greek thought,
mhm.
thou, Yahweh, hatest all workers of iniquity. So these are people who like their iniquity and who are not trying to repent, but are saying it's okay.
Right.
Yep.
So if you're saying that because you like pork, it's okay.
Or bacon.
It's okay to eat it.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with eating bacon.
God hates you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And I think another way to probably read this is Yahweh hates those who say sinning is okay.
Right.
Yeah.
No.
And you know, he didn't ask for your
Well,
permission. He didn't ask for your permission.
In broad strokes, yes, that's what he's saying there.
Yeah. I'm summarizing it a little bit and reading into it some, but yeah.
But the point is he didn't ask your permission to come up with. He didn't ask your permission before he came up with his law. Before he revealed his mind and will. He didn't say, "Is it?" He didn't come up to you and say, "Is this okay?"
Him being God kind of precludes that. Yeah. Anyway.
Well,
Right.
if that's what he did, I mean, no one's ever going to agree because go look at Christianity and all the religions.
If he'd waited
yeah,
for
exactly.
consensus in heaven on what was right and wrong, we would never have gotten here.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
right.
exactly.
So the reason one sign to show that he didn't wait for consensus is he kicked out Satan.
Right.
It's like, all right.
He didn't wait for
Y'all ain't
consensus.
staying.
He didn't wait for consensus. He created consensus.
Well,
I don't know if create's the right word. He helped
encouraged.
do it.
He highly encouraged consensus.
Actively encouraged. Active encouragement. I think that's a good way to go with that. But yeah, okay, verse 6, Josh.
Okay.
Of the other, okay, yes. Verse 6. Behold, it is written before me, I will not keep silence, but will recompense, even recompense into their bosom.
So it is written before me. Who is me?
Yahweh?
Yeah.
Him? Okay.
Yep. It's written before him. I will not keep silence,
Yeah.
but will recompense, even recompense into their bosom. There will be a time of judgment.
Mm-hmm.
And if we haven't if we haven't walked in his mind and will, judgment will have its claim upon us.
Now, one thing I find interesting, bosom has to generally deal with where Torah lays, as in the lungs and the heart.
Yes.
So it's saying recompense is defined in Torah, I would say.
Yep. Yeah, I would agree with that. I would agree with that. I will recompense according to Torah, and this is another thing that people have to wrap their mind around, is that the recompense, the judgment, is not according to some airy-fairy standard. It's actually given to us. The standards of the judgment were revealed to us from Adam, even though the first recorded instance of them being revealed to us is through Moses.
Well, so I will say the JST does make it clear that Adam had Torah. So, anyways.
Yeah, but
All right.
first time that the first time that it's actually recorded what some of what is in that mind and will, because specifically
Yeah, I would say that's somewhat
when you're getting
debatable, but
down to
it's
brass tacks specifics, the first is
I think that's debatable, and we'll leave it at that.
okay. I mean, that's fine. That's fine.
But I do
But-
agree, we do agree that
Torah's
that
been around.
Adam had Torah.
Torah's been
Adam-
around since the
I-
beginning.
I have stated, in fact, tonight that Adam has Torah. Adam
Yeah.
had Torah.
Right.
that's fine.
Torah's been around since the beginning.
Yeah. So well, we can leave it at that.
Yeah,
I think we all agree on that.
yeah. The other aspects are not important.
Yeah.
So, verse 7, Stephen.
Your iniquities or sins. Yeah, I read into that.
Iniquities, sins, transgressions, all the same thing, regardless of how you want to justify your stupidity.
Yeah, they're just
Go on.
different words for the same thing. Uh,
Iniquities.
okay, sorry. Your iniquities, aka sins, and the iniquities, aka sins of your fathers together, saith Yahweh, which have burned incense upon the mountains and blasphemed me upon the hills. So I'll finish it and then we'll talk about it. Therefore will I, Yahweh, measure their former work into their bosom. So he's saying your sins, although you claim that you keep Torah or you keep some of the ordinances of Torah, you're still following the ways of the pagans. So
Yep.
they go with the pagans, especially the blaspheming, goes against how the pagans blasphemed them.
Then
And
at the very end there he says, and oh, by the way, I'm still going to judge you by Torah.
right. And I would say that this burn incense upon the mountain, the incense is going to probably be most likely be the incense in the temple or tabernacle, right? And the mountain has to do with Torah.
Right.
Well, can I provide a little historical?
Yeah,
Oh,
go
yeah,
for it.
please.
You're
Yeah,
way
yeah,
better
yeah,
at
yeah.
history than I am. I will.
Yeah, Ben, go for it. Yeah.
When the pagans used to offer sacrifices in much the same way that the Israelites did, only they would do it on mountaintops, in high places, and in groves. So when he says burned incense upon the mountaintops, this is referring to worshiping as the pagans.
Oh, I can see that with what you're saying. So I don't think that part is a big deal either way. I will say this: I do believe the reason why the pagans were close to how the Israelites did it because, well, there was Noah.
Right.
Advice from Noah.
Right. Everything comes.
So-
Everything comes back to Noah, and yeah,
I just have a thought
all
here.
have a common
and,
ancestor.
and I want to get your take on it to see if I'm off my rocker or not.
Okay.
When I'm reading this verse, right, your iniquities and the iniquities of your fathers together, saith the Lord, which have burned incense upon the mountains and have blasphemed me before the hills, right? So your iniquities, may say, in the iniquities of your fathers together. So he's saying your iniquities, your father's iniquities. So what your fathers taught you, which was to burn incense upon the mountains and blaspheme me upon the hills, regardless, it doesn't matter. I'm still going to judge you according to Torah. Basically, he's saying it doesn't matter if you're doing it, if you learned it from your fathers, it's all wrong, and you're still going to be judged according to Torah. Am I off my rocker on that?
No, and I'm just rereading it as you were talking and listening. Yes, I was doing two things in once. And taking account what Ben said, I do think what Josh and Ben is saying is more accurate. Just reading the context and the history. So I think I was a little off there. It wasn't a horrible off, right?
No,
but I do
no.
think it was off. So
Right. And so what we have here what is he defining as iniquities and the iniquities of his fathers? Worshipping according to the way of the pagan. Do
Yeah.
you celebrate the pagan holy days?
You mean like Christmas?
Easter,
Thanksgiving.
Thanks.
Valentine's Day?
Valentine's, Halloween.
Halloween.
Yeah. All Solomon.
Yeah,
Uh,
but they call it Halloween now, Ben.
Yeah. Also, St. Patrick's
I'm
Day.
just
I know
saying,
what I know what it is. I
I'm
know
just
what it
I'm
is.
just washing the lipstick off the pig. Sorry.
Yeah, but
Very good.
but a lot of people don't. A lot of people nowadays are ignorant to what Samhain is. So you gotta dumb it
You
down
gotta
for them
take
and say
your audience
Halloween.
into account, Ben.
And
Yeah.
Take your audience into account.
Yeah. Well, just like if you said Lupercalia, they wouldn't realize you were talking about Valentine's Day.
Yes.
right. Yes.
I'll be honest, I wouldn't know that. So I'd have to go look it up, and then I was like, okay, that makes sense. So
But it is the same. It was the same day.
yeah, there's many names to some of these pagan holidays, right? It's so
Right. So yeah, Saturnalia. Most people don't realize that Saturnalia is Christmas.
yeah, it's just repackaged.
Yep.
Packaged Christian.
I mean, even I'll just say this: even though Hollies goes back.
So what I'm telling you,
I won't expound it, but I'll just leave it at that.
Oh, and the
so what I'm telling you is
the mistletoe.
if your church is telling you that these holy days are okay with Yahweh or with the God of heaven, get out of them.
Yes.
Yep.
He
will
will
be judged.
recompense your works unto you.
Yeah.
You will be judged.
Yahweh has told us how he wants us to worship him, and it says his lunar Sabbath, which is the weekly Sabbath,
Yep.
the new moon day, and then the high holidays. So
Yep.
So I'm going to move on to verse 8 if everybody has said everything they want to say about verse 7.
Sure. Yeah.
And thus saith Yahweh, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and one saith, destroy it not, for a blessing is in it, so will I do for my servants' sakes, that I may not destroy them all. So now we're dealing with a new group of people. My servants, Israel.
So
Those who have struggled, those who've stood in the struggle with God and with man and have prevailed.
yes. So one thing, if you're done, maybe I can add a couple things.
I'm probably not done, but go ahead and add your couple.
Okay. All right. So the new wine found in the cluster. So that cluster is the cluster of grapes that's on the grapevine. Okay.
Right.
And the reason why you can say there's new wine there is because that white stuff that's on it, and you'll still even see it in the grocery stores, is yeast.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And that will make wine. And also, new wine is sweet. Old wine is bitter. And when you first start out drinking wine, most people will enjoy the sweet wine more at first. And that's even true. And that goes along with even the process of conversion, in my opinion, that it's sweet when you first join. You get all these new things. You feel the joy because wine is symbolic of joy, right?
Right.
But then real life starts hitting again, and the bitter wine is the mature wine.
No.
And not everything is so sweet.
The real life and the fact and the knowledge of your own still comparative ignorance set in.
Yeah.
Uh, yes, because you start realizing things aren't maybe because when you first join and start believing, you don't know everything. But it
Mhm.
is sweet, and it is even sweet after you get mature. But as you get mature, you know you need the dunging,
Yeah.
Yes.
right?
Yes.
You
Yes.
know, and sometimes that dunging is not going to, sometimes that dunging is going to come from people who are within your belief system.
Yeah.
In fact, many times that's going to be the case. Um, and the reason for that, and you know, God hasn't, God doesn't tell the people, okay, just be nice to everybody. God doesn't. I mean, we should try to be kind as much as possible. We shouldn't try to justify unkindness. But if you're ignorant and you need education, they don't do you any favors by telling you that you've got it.
Correct. Or there's a difference between kindness and being nice. Yes.
Yeah.
Huge
This
difference.
whole idea of don't worry, you got this. That's not going to help you in the long run.
No, it's not. And a lot of people just say that because they don't know what else to say, to be honest.
Right. Because what you know when you have a friend who tells you that is that they don't know what to say, that they don't know quite what to do with your situation.
But they probably know what it tells you is that they probably know as much as you do. And if you know you don't know much,
You probably need to look to somebody else to be a teacher to you.
Yeah.
right.
So so this is this is that thing. The new wine the new wine is the new converts.
Yes. Also, one thing that goes along with Yeshua in the New Testament brings out you can't put new wine in old wineskins.
Right.
I do, I believe, and we'd have to check context more, but there's a good chance that it's also somewhat alluding to that
Yes.
because we are just talking about iniquity, bad people. They're doing things the wrong way.
Right.
Well,
And here now we
also,
need a new church because of
chemically, new wine cannot be put in the old bags because the new wine is um it's more abrasive than the old wine because the old wines have plenty of time to kind of ferment and all that. The new wine is more uh
But I do, yeah,
I think part of it
and it
is
will eat
that
and it will literally eat right through the old wineskin.
yeah, and it also I think another part is new wine is still breathing,
Yes.
and so it's gonna burst the old
Right.
wine skins.
yeah. Well, the
And
other,
that's what
They've
I was
already
getting at.
stretched 2 months and they can't handle the
Correct.
breathing, which the breathing goes back to Torah. So it's just I mean this imagery is
The
wonderful.
imagery is
yeah.
beautiful.
So
Yes, it's
when
beautiful.
we're talking, this is Isaiah prophesying of a new church that will be brought in the end times because the Christians and the Jews screwed it up.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
yes, I agree. Because here he is
To put it
talking
bluntly.
about
Yes.
the wrongs that these guys were doing, and now we're talking about creating a new church.
Yep.
And it also goes along with this part about my servants' sakes. That's
Yeah.
the church, right? So,
Yep.
His servants are not just any old schmo.
right. And with part of this is dealing with leading up to the millennium. There is going to be a new church started by the mighty and strong one, right? So,
Yes.
Well, it kind of has to be because the mighty and strong one's
Well,
supposed to be restoring all things.
and plus
and
there's
all
the fact,
things it is a phrase meaning Torah, but anyways.
Yes,
right,
it is.
and so with the restoration of all things, these old theologies that don't have room for new idea, that don't have room for the truth, they must be discarded.
Yeah. And so Ben's kind of bringing out the literal part, how old wineskins can't hold new wine because they won't accept the real teachings, right?
Right.
Well, they can't. There's no room in them for new teaching.
They
Well, right,
literally,
they hold to their oral law.
they
Correct.
literally cannot.
Right.
Within the religious structure itself
Right.
is the point that I'm trying to make here, is that they literally cannot take it in.
Right, because it'll show that their past leaders are wrong, which then ruins their foundation.
Yep. Yeah. And well,
There's nothing worse to them
we
than
can't have that.
Yeah.
No, absolutely not.
Okay, so that I do love that verse. The new wine, as the new wine is found in the cluster, and
It-
one saith, destroy it not. Who is the one that says destroy it not?
Yahweh.
And one saith,
Yep,
Yahweh.
one. Yeshua. It's a you have to look at it. You have to look at it.
A subtle shadowing of
The subtle
modalism,
shadowing
right?
of what's the word I'm
Modalism.
looking for?
Yeah.
Modalism. That's the one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Verse 9, Zach.
Oh, wait. Before you do that,
Oh.
this last phrase here, that I may not destroy them all, goes along with Malachi.
Yep.
Ah,
The earth be not wasted at his coming.
Yeah.
uh-huh. Good parallel.
So yeah, the facts of the matter are, Joseph Smith, Elijah, was sent to the earth to prepare the way for the second coming of the Lord. That the knowledge would be there by which the one mighty and strong.
Yeah. The mighty
Would
strong will
make
come off of what Joseph
the
Smith.
new wineskin that holds the new wine, that the earth be not wasted at the time of his coming. What Joseph Smith was tasked to do was not restore the fullness of the gospel, but to restore a knowledge of the fullness of the gospel. And he fulfilled that.
Yeah, he did what he was supposed to do.
And I personally am very grateful.
Yeah.
That
So am I.
Joseph Smith had the courage to keep going forward and not turn back.
Yeah. So am I.
Though that courage did, though historically speaking, we know that courage did have to be bolstered.
Anyway.
Yeah.
But don't we all occasionally need bolstering as we go about? Because there's none of Yahweh's tasks that are small. They're all too big for us.
Yeah, we need his help. But we shouldn't just be waiting for him to tell us to do every single thing, because that is servant. So it's a mixture. We do that on our own, but also keep looking towards how he wants us to do it.
Yeah,
It's to see that faith or our action, our faith in action, and then he helps. Yes.
yeah. That's not to say that God only helps those who help themselves, because that's Not
It's
true,
not
right?
necessarily always true either. But anyway,
Well, Yahweh doesn't help those who help themselves because the wicked do that. He helps those
Right.
who keep Torah.
Yeah,
right, there you
if
go.
you wish to experience the hand of Yahweh in your life, keep Torah. It really is, and it's not that hard to do. And if you insist that it is that hard to do, then you're calling God a liar.
Well, and you're probably also not in a repentant state.
So
I'm just calling it what it is. If you
Yeah.
are sitting there saying it's too hard to keep, you're not in a space, you're sinning, and you're not in a space where you want to repent.
Absolutely.
No.
Okay, so Zach, if we're quite done with verse 8, if we
Yeah,
can
I
have
And I will bring forth the seed out of Jacob, and out of Judah an inheritor of my mountains, and mine elect shall inherit it, and my servants shall dwell there.
Okay, so there's a reason why Jacob and Judah are separated here. A seed out of Jacob is referring to Joseph's birthright.
Mhm.
Okay.
So
All right.
Joseph,
Yahweh is saying Joseph and Judah, right?
this is a prophecy of the mighty and strong one and his helper.
Yes. Yes, it is. Because mighty strong one is of Ephraim, which is of Joseph, which sometimes is referred to just Joseph, right?
Mhm.
Right.
And Aaron is or the helper is of Judah.
And
And
this is the prophecy. This is the prophecy of the two olive trees. This prophecy is also borne out in Zechariah chapter 14, I believe, the prophecy of the olive trees that stand on the right and the left hand of the lampstand.
yes, yes, it is. And they're going to inherit Torah
Yep.
and Zion, because so mountains has imagery that goes along with Torah and nations, right?
Right.
And then my elect are those who keep Torah,
Right.
right? And those are the two servants that are dwelling there and taking care. Because the during the 7 years, the first part of the seven half, they are in Zion. The last half, they're in Jerusalem. And then after that, they're out being missionaries. So
Right. And this is the thing. Mine elect shall inherit it. This is another way of stating the meek shall inherit the earth.
yeah.
Those who have been humbly obedient, walking in the mind and will of Yahweh, as opposed to walking in their own thoughts.
Yes. But I do agree. This is about the mighty strong one in Aaron, which is of Ephraim, which I know you have to read into this, but it's established with other scriptures that this is Ephraim, right?
And also it's established through tradition as well.
Yeah. So anyways.
Not that I'm necessarily a big proponent of tradition, but
It has its place, but you have to take it with a grain of salt.
yeah.
If tradition contradicts Torah, stick with
Throw it
Torah.
away.
Yeah.
Okay. So verse 10, Josh.
Let's see. And Sharon shall be a fold of flocks, and the valley of Achor a place for the herds to lie down in, for my people that have sought me.
So Sharon is actually the land. Sharon, the land of Sharon is the land of the. It's south of Jerusalem. So, and it is a fertile land good for raising sheep in.
There'll be a fold of flocks. Okay, that makes sense. Okay.
Well, and that would make sense with 9 talking about the mighty and strong one and Aaron. And what they're going to do, they're going sheep. His
And
people.
by the way,
Right?
Sharon and the Valley of Achor were both outside of Israel,
Yes.
not a part of the land of Israel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which
Which
actually
would point
makes
to
sense.
Zion.
Yeah,
Yep.
that actually makes sense. Yeah.
That's
So, because there are other things in here that reference Jerusalem, but here we have Sharon and the Valley of Achor, fertile places that are not Jerusalem.
no, that's thank you. I wouldn't I you're better with the geography than I am and history. I appreciate your helps on that. So
That's awesome. Yeah.
that's cool.
Okay, so let's see.
Verse 11.
Verse 11, Stephen.
Okay. But ye are that they that forsake Yahweh, that forgot my holy mountain or my holy Torah, my holy way, my holy spirit. Yeah, I'm saying things in a way on purpose. That prepare a table for the troop that
For
for
that troop,
oh yeah, for that troop, and that furnishes the drink offering unto that number.
that number. So so now we're switching back. But ye, this is probably referring to blood Israel, the people who claim to be Israel, etc. Forsake the Lord, forget my holy mountain, prepare a table for that troop. That troop would be Gentile Christianity, which is built on the lies of, which is actually built on the lies of rabbinical Judaism.
Yeah, yeah.
The
And along those ways, Hebrew roots, I think is better stated Pharisee roots.
Yep, that furnish the drink offering onto that number. I just want to point. I like laying the emphasis
No,
on
it's
that
funny. Yeah.
in front of
That
both.
troop, that number. It's
Yeah.
like he's spitting it out of his mouth. That.
This is this is
It's highly offensive to him. Yes,
yes,
it's obvious.
Right, but I do want to emphasize this holy mountain that is Sinai, where Torah was given to Moses.
Yeah.
yes.
Then Moses gave it to the people, which follows the pattern. You have a
Yep.
teacher that gets it, the leader, the one that's really keeping it, and then he gives it to the people, right?
Right.
Yes, that is the pattern. You have and that actually was established at Sinai, where where Yahweh talked to Moses, Moses talked to the other leaders, and they dispensed it to the people.
Yes. Yep.
So just there's that. So Israel. Even if you if you listen to the modern Pharisees, the rabbis, they will tell you that you cannot possibly understand Torah outside of their rabbinical understanding.
And I will disagree with them because when I first woke up, I needed Torah. I tried to take their stuff into account, and then I'd go read the verse that they claimed it's from. It made no sense. And when I finally decided to let it go of trying to listen to them because of help from Yahweh, things started clicking. Their
But
teaching contradicts it.
that's a really good thing. I actually wanted to throw something else in there.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
The basis of Christianity is the same idea.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Cannot understand the scriptures outside of the traditions of the church.
Well, and even they come out and
And
clearly
the
state
thing
it's heresy
is
if you try.
the thing is that the Protestants didn't even try to correct that.
Oh
No,
no.
the Protestants didn't try to justify things by going to the scriptures. They just
They kept the traditions, including if you look at the if you look at the basic beliefs of the Lutheran Church, they even kept the modified 10 Commandments of the Catholic Church.
Yeah. The Protestants kept a lot, not all, but most of the false traditions of the Catholics.
Because they valued more the traditions of the early Christian fathers than they value the word of Yeshua.
Yeah. Which is, well, it takes time to let go of false traditions, but you have to let go of your pride, and they did not. Sorry.
No,
Yeah.
no.
All right. Therefore, I will number you to the sword.
So verse 12, just so people know.
Yep. Therefore, I will number you to the sword. And ye shall all bow down to the slaughter. Because when I called, ye did not answer. And when I spake, ye did not hear, but did evil before mine eyes, and did choose that wherein I delighted not.
So I just thinking out loud while you're reading that could refer to the USA Second Civil War and World War III, which are, the seal, first and second seal, right?
And the third and the fourth seal, a fourth part of the fourth part of the inhabitants of the earth will be delivered
Slaughter and destruction.
To the sword, famine, pestilence and disease, and wild animals.
Yeah.
Yep.
So yes, it does point to the coming wars, right? Because
Yes.
multiple of the seals have wars that goes with them. But
Right. Well, and if you think about it, this I think is a continuing prophecy because it's happened many times throughout history that those who will not listen.
But specifically, it is pertaining to the last days because it is in the chapter immediately preceding 66.
I understand that, Ben, but I'm just saying this is a continuing.
Right.
This is
well, it's happened
not
multiple.
something new.
Maybe another way of saying it's happened multiple times.
Mhm.
Right.
Okay, because of the pattern, but the one that's specifically pointing to is the millennium, but the patterns happen
Right.
multiple times.
Yeah, and
So
that's what I was trying to say.
I just want to say that the reason why I speak so hard against these ideas that are anti-Torah, anti the mind and will of Yahweh, is because I've seen what it's like when a nation is numbered to the sword. I've been there. I've treated their sick. I've treated their wounded. You do not want to be there. I don't want anybody to be there. But I know the people will choose their way. So I bring people face to face. So I don't mince words. I want you to be sure, and you know what it is that you are choosing when you choose to reject the mind and will of Yahweh. That you are choosing to be numbered to the sword and to the slaughter. And I also want you to know that it won't be because I didn't say something. If you continue and persist in doing those things, in doing evil, not obeying Torah, doing evil before the eyes of Yahweh, and choosing that wherein he does not delight, you will be numbered to the sword. That doesn't necessarily mean you'll be killed, but you will suffer. Yehovah has a way prepared to protect those who are his people. We saw a little bit of that before we started back into this about the wicked people. He has a way prepared. Those who are walking in his ways, those who are putting forth their level best effort will be protected and will be provided for. And Zion will be there for them. But it will not be built by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
No, it will not.
It will be built by the Lamanites. It'll be built by the people of this land.
Yeah.
When they come to Torah and realize that Yehovah is their God.
Yep, I agree. And they'll be taking the land back. So,
Yeah.
Anyways.
So verse 13, Zach.
For thus saith Yahweh Elohim, Behold, my servants shall eat, but ye shall be hungry. Behold, my servants shall drink, but ye shall be thirsty. Behold, my servants shall rejoice, but ye shall be ashamed.
There it is. There it is. In the very next verse, he says what I was saying. My servants shall eat. You wicked people are going to be hungry. My servants shall drink. You wicked people are going to be thirsty.
Yeah.
My servants,
Oh, sorry, go ahead. I was just
my
going to say,
servants shall rejoice.
this goes along with what's happening in Zion versus the rest of the world. The rest of the world's going to be hungry. Zion's going to have food.
Yep. Verse 14, Josh.
Yeah, can we scroll up a little bit?
Yeah.
Behold, my servants shall sing for joy of heart, but ye shall cry for sorrow of heart, and shall howl for vexation of spirit. Oh, what a terrible place to be. Oh my gosh.
Have you read Revelation, Josh? The book of Revelation, those plagues, that talks about these people, the wicked people.
That's, yep.
It will be terrible.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's not something it's not something for us to rejoice in their suffering. If we're the kind of people who would rejoice in their suffering.
So it says here, my servants shall sing for joy of heart.
And not for joy of heart. We're singing because we are in Torah and we are in the mind and will of Yehovah.
Right, right.
Not singing because, haha, look at those people. Look at those poor slubs over there.
They're getting fried. Yeah, no, that's
No,
not why we're happy. Right. Okay.
No, we're
I just
happy.
want to make sure that that's clarified, because the way the conversation was starting to go, I was like, whoa, 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 whoa.
Right. Well, and then even the
well,
144 is, and Mighty Sharon and Aaron going out is a last resort try to get these people to repent, to have the joy
Right.
that they have. So if they were just laughing at them, they wouldn't be wanting to go out and helping them.
Yeah,
Right.
And if my point is if that's why, if you would rejoice in somebody else's sorrow and pain, you're not ready for Zion.
Well, and yeah, you probably shouldn't be in Zion, but anyways,
yeah, that's where I was going with it.
Okay, all right. I just wasn't quite understanding. Okay.
Yeah, well, probably a good idea to just let me finish that. But yeah, verse 15, Steve.
Sure. And ye shall leave your name for a curse unto my chosen. For Yahweh Elohim shall slay thee, and shall call his servants by another name.
Oh, who got called by another name?
There's multiple. In the past, Jacob turned to Israel.
Oh, yeah.
But in the future, The mighty strong one will be called Israel.
Yes.
So I do believe that last part's going along with that. I will be honest, I'm a little confused about the first part.
Basically, it's basically stating that they will be accursed.
Yeah, it's just maybe it's a translation issue, but
I think it's a translation issue, but my understanding of it is that you wicked people who would not repent are accursed.
okay. So let's pause for 1 second and let's look at see if there's a better translation out there. Just so I'm gonna pause.
Well, and then you think about it. You think about it, right? Saul, whose
A
name
curse unto my
changed to Paul. I mean,
A curse unto
No, he had
his
two
initial
names.
name was like a curse
a curse
No,
unto my chosen.
to the
no.
chosen.
A curse unto my chosen, they kill the mighty and strong one.
Oh, okay, that makes more sense. Okay, and that goes along with the rest of the verse. So thank you.
Yep. Curse unto my chosen, they kill my mighty and strong. They kill the mighty and strong one.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And your name is your character. Um, it's not about an actual name.
Yeah, that makes sense. So you shall use your character for a curse unto the mighty and strong one, for Yahweh shall slay thee after you slay the mighty and strong one. And
Which now brings us back to Isaiah 27. If smite, smite, then kill, kill.
yes. So I do think Ben's caught the
Yep. Yeah, he caught the gist of it pretty well. Yep.
Okay.
But back with what Josh said, Paul had two names. He had a Hebrew name and a Greek name because he was born Greek. So
Correct.
he didn't get a new name. He just changed which name he focused on for the most part.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
Right.
Paul's
Right.
a little different circumstance there. But anyways.
Yeah, not quite the same thing at all. So let's go to verse. I'll read verse 16 here. That he who blesseth himself in the earth shall bless himself in the God of truth. And he that sweareth in the earth shall swear by the God of truth. Shall swear by the God of truth. So those who believe that translation and the Sermon on Torah is correct, where Yeshua says, "Swear not at all," you're setting Yeshua against himself.
Yeah, and this also goes with Daniel 12, if I remember right, how he swears by the name of Yahweh that it'll be 3.5 years, or I can't remember which number he uses, but it's it's the same time frame, but just stated different ways at different times. So.
Yep. Because the former troubles are forgotten, and because they are hid from mine eyes. The sons of perdition are hid from his eyes by stoning.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, and this goes along how in multiple places in the scriptures talks about how they want to hide under the rocks, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. And so that's gonna they're
gonna be
Yahweh's going to give them what they want.
They're gonna be
yes,
begging.
they are going to get what.
Yeah, they're gonna be begging for it. They're gonna be like, "Please." He'll be like, "Okay."
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I don't want to look at you anyway.
You're an affront to me.
Anyway.
I'm sorry. That's a little bit of lighthearted levity in here. Because this can be pretty heavy stuff, but let's
yes, it can be.
So verse 17, Zach.
For behold, I create new heavens and a new earth, and the former shall not be remembered, nor come into mind.
So this is what now this is what most of Christianity is looking for. They just don't seem to realize that they won't be around to enjoy it unless they decide to give up Christianity and embrace the law.
Right.
Correct. Now, I will say, not everyone that's left behind is going to die, but it won't be fun going through the wrath. at the end
No,
of
it will
7 years.
not. No,
But not everyone's going to die. So some of the Christians may stay alive and then convert after. So,
yeah, that's
anyways,
as I'm very fond of saying, where there's life, there's hope. If you stay alive, you've got a hope somewhere. Um,
Somewhere, yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
so
So I do think one thing here, this is going to bring out how the earth is going to be different. During the millennium, the earth's environment's going to be different, and the heavens is going to look different also.
yeah, well, and this is a reference to the polar configuration, which is currently off balance
Yeah.
and out of place. And it will be brought into balance and into place.
Yeah, and I do agree because the polar configuration is going to make the heavens look different, and it's going to change the environment of the earth.
And the result will be air that is much richer, air that is an atmosphere that's much more conducive to life. As the because the polar alignment, the polar configuration is that which is most conducive. The correct polar configuration is that which is most conducive to life.
Yes, so I have a post I need to finish on this, but there's a lot of signs that a more electronic environment makes it so we heal better, and plants grow better, live longer. There's a whole bunch of stuff. And the polar configuration will cause more an electrical environment. So, anyways,
Yeah.
we'll leave it at that.
Awesome.
So,
Let's do it.
yeah. So that's that. Verse 19, Stephen.
Yes.
You might want to
Yeah, I
scroll.
might want to scroll. Let me scroll a little more. And I will rejoice in Jerusalem and joy in my people, and the voice of weeping shall no more be heard in her, nor the voice of crying. So I take this to go with how he is then going to step on the mount, and then the people are going to realize who he is, and they're going to be grateful for it, right?
Yeah. Uh, after and this is after they weep over their own iniquity at having slain their Messiah. There will be no more weeping in Jerusalem.
Yep.
And I think that's a wonderful thing.
Oh yeah, I do believe that's going to happen after the wrath. So
Yes.
Yeah. All righty. There shall no more thence be an infant of days, nor an old man that hath not filled his days. For the child shall die 100 years old, and the sinner being 100 years old shall be accursed. Okay, so everyone's going to die. Everyone's going to live at least 100 years, according to this.
I think it's going to be longer, but
I tend
believe,
to agree.
I think this is a generalization, but
Yeah,
okay.
I think 100 is actually symbolizing the ordinal perfection of life.
yes, I would agree with
Okay.
that.
All right. Okay.
Yeah,
All right.
Because I do believe the 100 is symbolic there.
but
And
there's a little gem
so-
in here. There's a little gem in here that totally goes against Christian theology. But the sinner, being 100 years old, shall be accursed. The sinner, there will be sinners in the millennial kingdom.
Yes, it does bring that out. As in, so there's
Wait,
gonna
you
be
mean the millennial kingdom's not going to be all hunky dory and perfect, and there's nobody who wants to sin?
Yeah, sorry, Doctors of Lucifer people, that's just the way it is.
no. Well, so let's look at this. So during the wrath, not everybody's going to be killed. That does mean some sons of perditions are going to still survive.
Yeah, there's
Um,
what gets destroyed or the third part or the fourth part, sorry.
Fourth
Well,
part.
yeah, I even think the fourth part is symbolic of all over the world, but that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, that's a
But and even the terrestrial is going to be on here on Earth because they're not going to be raptured. Um, and some of them are going to survive, but the main point there is going to be sinners. But I'm just trying to bring out how even the fact that not everyone that's down here on Earth is going to get destroyed shows there's going to be sinners. In addition, at the end of the millennium, people are going to some people are going to be blatantly rejecting Yahweh and causing the war of Gog and Magog.
and that doesn't come from nowhere.
Right, that comes from the people that are surviving that are still sinners here on earth.
Right.
Right.
The idea that this would come from nowhere is absolutely ridiculous, folks.
I agree.
But
So
hopefully, just doing the little
All
thought
things come
process
from
there
somewhere.
helps. I hope
All
that
things
little
come from somewhere.
yeah, I
Right.
hope that little thought process helps people see that there are going to be sinners, and then that's going to lead to the war at the end of the and Magog. I think I said that right, but anyways.
right.
Gog and Magog. Yes. Hmm.
All righty. So verse 21, Zach.
And they shall build houses and inhabit them, and they shall plant vineyards and eat the fruit thereof of them.
Okay, so this is back to talking about the inhabitants of Jerusalem / Zion.
Yes, I would also add that this goes back to Deuteronomy 28 and 29 and some of the blessings,
Yes.
which goes along with keeping Torah.
Oh, whoa, dude.
Oh,
Yeah, I know. It's
gotta keep Torah. Oh,
yeah, dude. So that's what that's talking about. Here he is tying his prophecy on the millennial reign and the ushering in of the millennial reign, conditions of the millennial reign. He's tying it back to Torah in Deuteronomy, the book that the book that a lot of people are trying to trash right now.
Yes, well, that's because they really don't know their scriptures. They just know they want to be sinners and feel okay about it.
well, they also don't really know history that well either. But
No,
whatever.
and most serious scholars don't give any creed to that theory anymore. And I talk about this in my post about the JST and show how the Silver Scroll goes against that and other things too. So I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's not. There's nothing true in that.
Yeah, and on top of that, Yeshua quotes Deuteronomy quite a bit, including
Yeah, for a book that's just so off course. Yeshua liked it a lot. Are you saying that Yeshua has no discernment?
right. And
Are you saying that your discernment is greater than Yeshua's?
yeah, I think they just don't know what is right and wrong because they're just going off what people saying. But I will say that what I prefer to call Sermon on Torah, what most people call Sermon on the Mount, quotes Deuteronomy quite a bit.
Almost exclusively, but yeah.
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 Okay. So, verse
Give it to
22,
me.
Josh.
Yeah. They shall not build and another inhabit. They shall not plant and another eat. Whereas the days of a tree are the days of my people, and mine elect shall long enjoy the work of their hands. Oh,
Again, quoting Deuteronomy.
yep.
Right. And also, I would say at the end, it brings out how the secret combinations are not going to be in charge, as in they're going to keep the work of their hands, where today secret combinations are in charge and they take a lot of that from us.
Right now, you
That,
work.
that reference, they shall not build and another inhabit, they shall not plant and another eat.
Amen.
Yeah.
That's a direct reference to thievery.
Yeah, especially the particular brand of thievery that's really popular right now.
Okay, so let's pause for 1 second. Okay.
So when Andrew came on, we having to get the sacrament, and we're grateful that he came on. But when he came on, we were talking about verses 21 and 22, how they are a reiteration of the promises in Deuteronomy chapter 28. Almost similar, right at the very beginning, where it's talking about the promises to the elect and the righteous, those who keep Torah.
Right. And we've already said it before, but since been saying this part, I'm going to say this is during the millennium. So we're getting the blessings for keeping Torah during the millennium.
Right. Which I will add, was always the time of the ultimate reaping of these blessings.
Yes. Yeah.
So, okay, so
Which I'll just add this one thing, which goes along with all the prophecies, how the mighty strong one's going to restore Torah. So.
Yeah. So, Stephen, verse 23.
Yes. They shall not labor in vain, nor bring forth for trouble, for they are the seed of the blessed of Yahweh, and their offspring with them. So, I know a lot of people in today's world feels like they work and they don't really get anything out of it. This is saying the millennium's not going to be like that, right?
The other thing that this is saying is this is letting you know who Yahweh's seed are, who Yeshua's seed are. They are the seed of these are the seed of the blessed of Yahweh. Blessed of Yahweh is Yeshua. So that's those who keep Torah.
Yeah.
Right.
So when in Jacob chapter 2 verse 30, when it says, "But if I will, saith Yahweh, raise up seed unto myself," he's not talking about babies.
No, he's talking about followers.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. Okay. I see. So they shall not labor in vain. So it's talking basically here about missionary work. They're going to take joy in their offspring, which is the people that they help to bring to a knowledge of the truth.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not just about babies.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, the offsprings are converts. Yeah.
Yeah, get your minds out of the gutter, people.
Tell me about.
What are you talking about?
He's talking about people
doctrines.
He's
talking about doctrines of Lucifer, doctrines of Luciferians.
Well, I'm
You
specifically.
got to get out of there. You got to get out of there, Andrew. You got to
Yeah.
get out. Get
Well,
out.
dude, I am, but not before I at least try to, do
He's
something.
trying to expose the wicked ideas.
Yeah.
Right.
Mhm. So here I go. I'll read 24 and I'll have you read 25. How about that, Andrew?
That works.
Okay. And it shall come to pass. I love this promise. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I will answer. And while they are yet speaking, I will hear.
The wolf and the lamb shall feed together, and the lion shall eat straw like the bullock. And dust shall be the serpent's meat. They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mountain, saith the Lord.
The wolf and the lamb, Messiah images. They feed together.
Yeah.
The lion and the bullock, Messiah images.
Yep. So let's talk about why a wolf is a Messiah image real quick, okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's because a wolf is a destroyer. He is destroying the ways of the wicked. And the lamb, because of the mercy. So he's destroying the wicked ways, but he's giving mercy
To the repentant.
that were of the ways that he's destroying.
So
Okay?
you're seeing both sides, both mercy and justice in play there, essentially.
Yes. Yeah. Right there. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's destruction with mercy.
And then the same thing with the lion and the bullock.
Yeah.
The bullock doesn't so much represent mercy, though.
I guess that's true.
Well, so here's my thought on here. I actually agree with Andrew because I think this goes along with the fatted calf. So,
Yeah, and then that would be two, making it sure.
right. Because the lion is the roaring, the destroying, which goes with the
Roaring
wolf.
lions.
The
Yeah.
fatted calf or the bullock goes with the lamb because it's the mercy.
Yep.
Okay.
And
So
both
in
the
this
lamb
case,
and the bullock, are a part of the sin offering.
yes,
Yes, they
which
are.
goes with the mercy. Okay.
Yep, that's true.
And so I'm going to side with Andrew here.
Okay.
The
I think
lion
that-
and the wolf are the justice.
I think
The
Ben agrees
lamb
with
and
me
the
too,
bullock
though.
is the mercy.
Well, when I think about it, I agree.
Yeah. Okay.
So it's not like you have to take one over the other. I just,
No.
it's just thinking through it.
Yeah, that's fine. And we've all done this. I've done this some in this chapter too, right?
And
As long as we are all edified and learn together, that's all that matters.
And dust shall be the serpent's meat. Into the dust with you.
yeah. So dust is Satan's domain, and that's what the serpent's going to eat, as going back to Genesis.
Yep.
In
And
fact,
those who are of the dust will be his food.
Right, because they're going to be down in hell with Satan.
Right.
So essentially, it's saying he's going to get his.
Yes.
Yeah.
He will literally get his.
They shall not hurt nor destroy in all my holy mount.
Yeah, they won't be able to destroy Torah or his nations that are keeping it because, well, they're going to be bound for 1,000 years.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
Doesn't Isaiah have a way with words?
Yes.
Oh my goodness, it's beautiful.
Now we didn't talk much about 24, so let's go back to that for just a second.
Yeah, just a little bit.
So I'll read it again. And it shall come to pass that before they call, I Yahweh will answer, and while they are yet speaking, I will hear. This goes along with how Yahweh answers the prayers of those who are striving to keep Torah.
And he answers them quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
In a very immediate way.
And you don't have to pray on your knees for hours.
Or thump your chest or flagellate yourself or anything like that.
Yeah.
I just think it's crazy that you think that you're going to get a better answer for having tortured yourself.
Well, that goes back to the pagans because that's what the pagans teach. So.
Yep.
Didn't they do like the face cuttings and all that other stuff?
Yeah, they did.
And the whipping, yes.
The self-flagellation, yep.
Yes. And the Jesuits have kept that alive, among others. But
alive and well, yes.
Yeah, that's just a part of all wicked culture.
Yeah. It's just the Jesuits come into my mind more for that, but they got it from the pagans, and the pagans still do it.
Yeah, the Jesuits originated nothing of themselves.
Oh yeah, they're just copying all the wicked ways of those that were not supposed to copy their ways of worship.
Yeah, each secret society simply copycats the one that was before.
Yeah. Okay, so I do think that's a good ending for today. We'll have to do Isaiah 66 another time, just because.
Yes.
I mean,
I have to review the beginning portion of the chapter because
it was a great study.
Really?
Today, it was a great study today. Yes.
Okay, so I'm gonna pause real quick.